Hey guys, it's December 17th, and I figured why not talk about my November favorites? Because I'm a little late to that game, but whatever. First and foremost, there will probably be some kitten shenanigans at some point, um, which is kind of what I want to lead into first. So, the end of October and mostly through November was honestly a pretty rough month. The last week in October, I had to put my cat Luna down and have surgery all within a couple of days of each other. And I've shared what happened with Luna on this channel, but to just quickly reiterate, she just went into sudden kidney failure. She was doing fine a week prior, and she just progressed really quickly, and we had to put her to sleep. And it was very, very devastating for my husband and I. I've had her for 16 years. And my husband has been around her since she was 2. So it was very rough for us. It was very rough for her sister and my children, who have known her for the last 6 years almost. So I was grieving, I was recovering, I was really just in a funk most of the month, but I did still continue to do a few things here and there. My reading practice slumped off a little bit, so there's only a couple of books that I have to share with you guys. And then I did still continue to draw tarot and oracle cards and work with those, just trying to keep somewhat of a connection to my path as I was going through all this, but it was a rough month. It is also the same month that I celebrate my anniversary of being together and my wedding anniversary. They are on the same day, although 5 years apart. So we got married on our 5th anniversary. So my husband and I on the 14th celebrated 9 years married and 14 together. So that's pretty crazy. We didn't do much though because pandemic. Pretty much just hung out, just the two of us, and got takeout and watched a movie, which was perfectly fine for me and him. It's been a stressful year. So we did that, and then a week later we celebrate our son's 6th birthday. So we also had to do that safely. He had a drive-by parade for everybody, and he still was excited, but it was really hard to try and tell him I'm sorry, but we can't do anything more. And he took it pretty well though. He's a good kid. But yeah, now my oldest baby is 6 already, so it's pretty wild. But that being said, I will just kind of get into what I've been doing. So this is my planner that I have been working in since about February, and for a while I was actually thinking about what I wanted to do for planning for next year, and I've just decided to stick with this for my mundane things. I have a different plan for my spiritual planner, and but I was looking in here and I realized that I have not done anything in here since the week of my surgery and the week that Luna passed away. It's pretty crazy. So this is probably going to go into 2021 for the first like 4-ish months, and then I'll figure out something else. But I really want to make sure I use it up. This is called the Legend Planner. It's kind of really about your personal development and goals. I enjoy it, especially for, like I said, I keep track of more of my mundane things in here. But yeah, so I will share with you guys once I have the other things that I'm going to do for my spiritual planning when we get there. So I'm just going to talk about magical workings in November. I don't really know. This is my book of mirrors. I don't really know if there was a whole lot I did. Let's see. I think my November was pretty quiet considering everything I was going through. Yeah, on November 16th, I had wrote about how I was feeling that Freya was calling to me to learn more about Seidr. And on the 20th, I had done a rune reading about that, which actually really ended up turning out very positive. It was very very clear that that's what she wants from me. So that was all that I kind of really did in November because my month was just so insane. But I did end up reading this book, which I really greatly enjoyed. It's actually bookmarked for a ritual that I plan on doing, which I mentioned in my dedication video that I did not too long ago back. That I wanted to claim the title of the vulva, and there is a ritual in here about that. But this is a very wonderful book for anybody who is curious about Seidr. It kind of bounces back and forth between what little we do know historically, and then sort of takes a modern approach on it. It's very, very down to earth and a grounded approach, very easy to pick up if you're curious about Seidr magic in the Norse past, and I think it explained it really well. The other book that I read was, I read this mostly through October, but I finished it up in November, and that was The Way of Fire and Ice. This has a wonderful chapter on Seidr as well, where he gives a very abridged, like very basic version, but if you're trying to just figure out what it is, it's this chapter in here was really, really well put. I've talked about this book a little bit before in another recent favorites that I did, but what I really enjoyed about it is just how vocal he was about the basically the disgraceful white supremacy that is really going through Norse paganism. And I love that he had a very strong voice in that. There's a whole section in the back that is all about finding community and sort of how to be mindful and sort out what to look for like-minded people who don't believe in that. But other than that, he really brought in a lot. This book was very, very well informed for, at least when it comes to practicing modern Norse paganism. And again, much like the book I just mentioned on Seidr, he does do a pretty good job on blending what we know historically into modern Norse paganism as well. And then the book, well, one more. One more that I read, and then I'll talk about the book that I'm currently reading. Oh, look, kitten shenanigans. So in November, actually, I believe he sent it to me in October, and I didn't get a chance to read it until very recently. Hi, baby. Come here. Speaking of, come here. Come here. You're not climbing on my computer. This is Arwen. She is one good thing that happened to me in November. And her brother, who I don't know where he is. Oh, okay. I'm just gonna hang out back there. My husband and I make jokes about how she channels Luna because she's really similar to her. That is the cord to my headphones, my darling. But I was sent this by Jason, who is the author of this book, I believe in October. But I finally got around to reading it in November. And I think I read it in this month. Either way, I really want to talk about it. This book is wonderful. It's all poetry, but it basically tells a journey. Arwen. Oh. Told you, kitten shenanigans. It basically tells a journey through meeting the gods and through going through the 9 realms. And there's a lot of depth to self-development and self-exploration. And each poem is kind of meeting one of the other deities through the Norse pantheon. And it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. It's what I would dream about, truthfully. And if you're really loving or if you're really into Norse paganism and you kind of want to read something that's just a creative expression of a connection to the Norse gods, I really do recommend this book. Jason is wonderful. He posts on Instagram. His Instagram handle is Wandering Yggdrasil. I will put his link down below. He shares his poetry on there as well, and he's just a joy to have in the community, just to be able to see his poems every day and stuff. I really enjoy his work. He's a beautiful author. Oh, Arwen. She's like, I'm just gonna get it. No, the book that I'm currently reading at this very moment, which I am about halfway through, is The Goddess of the North, and this is just basically the Norse goddesses or Norse mythology through the lens of the goddess. And so it really kind of more talks about the divine feminine aspect of it. It's very there's a lot in here. And I really have enjoyed just the amount of content that this author has put in. Like I said, I don't have a whole lot more to say on it quite yet because I'm not done. But so far I am enjoying. Arwen, come on, baby. Come here. If you have a cat, you know what's happening right now. She's staring at me, just going, no, I don't want to. Come here. Uh-huh. Cats, man. Okay. Decks, and then we will wrap it up. So I usually take like a tarot and an oracle deck throughout my collection and just work with it for about a week. My collection hasn't really grown a whole lot over the last few months. I've actually sort of slumped off on purchasing tarot and oracle decks a little bit, just because A, there's not a whole lot out there that I'm interested in right now, and B, I've just started to become way more picky about what I purchase. And C, I'm sort of diving further into my Norse path and everything that's going on with that. But I am still using tarot and oracle in a daily practice. And I still do moon readings and pretty much everything else, just because divination is such a large part of my practice. So in November, I worked with the Ophidia Rosa. Speaking of poetry, this deck is a little esoteric in the sense that it doesn't follow Rider-Waite. At least it is the system of Rider-Waite, but the imagery, no. But it's all botanical, and each of the meanings of the cards are basically just a very short poem. And I actually really enjoy it. I shared this in my fall decks video just because it kind of has that fall color palette to it. And I just really enjoy it for that reason, as well as just, it's really, really interesting to read the little bits this is basically the guidebook. There's really isn't much, but I actually enjoy the simplicity of that, and I enjoy the poems because the poems are not simplistic. They're basically, they get you thinking on how she approached writing a poem about the meaning of the word. It shows it through a different lens, basically. I enjoy that. And then I worked with the Illuminated Earth Oracle. It's shining, sorry. I've shown this deck many times on my channel as well. This deck is wonderful. It is a very well-balanced deck, Oracle deck. The artwork can be a little abstract, but I still think it's beautiful. It's really, honestly, oh, for goodness sakes. There you go. It's a very earthy deck, and I felt that it would go really well with the Ophidia Rosa, just in the sense of it being kind of having that same botanical vibe or earth vibe, that sort of grounding experience. Yeah, I enjoy this deck very much. It's one of my favorites. What you doing, Miss Evenstar? Like, I'm just gonna lay here. I'm gorgeous. Much like my Luna. Then I worked with the Dark Days Tarot. This one really does make me think of November just because I got it last November, actually, from the artist. She was very kind and sent it to me. I follow her on Instagram. I love the things that she posts. She's working on another deck right now called the Mother Tarot as well. But yes, this deck is wonderful. It's a black and white deck. And the depth that it has is just really beautiful. There we go. It really, I don't know. I don't even know how to put it into words, but there's just something comforting, I guess, about this deck, but also very deep. That would be the best way that I can describe it. So I guess maybe I did find the words, but yes, I adore this deck. It's wonderful. And then I paired that with the, I'm gonna bump my light, with the Threads of Fate Shadow Edition. I know I actually have 2 copies of this deck because a friend of mine gifted me one for Yule, which is the Rose Edition, but I enjoy this deck so much that I was like, I think I'm just gonna keep both of them because they're beautiful. But yes, I'm sure many of you have seen the Threads of Fate. It is pretty popular. This one is just, this deck honestly is very versatile. It has a lot to offer, and it's just beautiful. It has some cards that are more archetypal, and then it's got other cards like Release and Nature, Reclaim. A lot of them are self-empowerment. Some of them are balanced with the darker side, which I really enjoy. Every time that a deck has that and isn't just, I guess, fluffy or light washed, you're gonna get my attention. So that's something I greatly enjoy. And then I worked with the Spacious Tarot. This is one of my favorite nature-based decks. I was not sure if I would like this deck, and then after the Kickstarter campaign, about a month later, I want to say last year, beginning of this year, they released some just for purchase, and after seeing it, I was like, I actually think I'd really like that. It's mostly just scenes, but there are the presence of animals in it, and I like that it's mostly just nature scenes for the most part. I mean, you got the wands here, which are a little different, and the courts are really cool too. Like this is the King of Swords. Oh my gosh, would you just do the thing? That says Elder of Swords, the Three of Swords. Yeah, I love this Wheel of Fortune. This is my favorite Wheel of Fortune ever so far that I've seen. And the star, oh, so pretty. But yes, I love the size of this deck as well. Just because I have long fingers, but like I kind of delicate hands, I guess. I don't know. Either way, this deck is beautiful. And anything that's very naturey, I'm all for. And then I worked with Queen of the Moon. I love this deck. This deck, I'm not usually one for this kind of artwork. The only tarot deck that I've been interested in that's kind of similar to this that I may or may not get is the Dream Keepers. It has this kind of like dreamy fantasy, right? Otherworldly art, but it's all based on the moon. It's really, really glossy. So sorry for that. But I enjoy it for a moon deck. And again, this is another one that's just a very good all-around oracle deck. I have paired this just doing readings, pulling these as like clarification cards. I actually have a video on my channel where I talk about doing that with the Moonchild Tarot. It's kind of an older video, but it is there, and it's something that I really, really enjoy doing. Okay, and then lastly, for the decks that I worked with in November, I started to get my toes wet with Thoth. I actually now have two Thoth type decks. I was recently given the Rosetta Tarot in a trade, but I've had the Tabula Mundi, I have the mini version, since I think the summer. But yes, these decks are both by the same artist and creator. And if it would freaking focus, I just really like her artwork. Don't focus on my face. I still have yet to get an actual copy of the Thoth. That is something that I've been meaning to do. But for the now, I am enjoying experimenting with it. And I do have the bigger, or the guidebooks that come with both of these decks as well. This one and the Rosetta, which I'll talk about next month. But this one was a little bit easier for me to kind of get familiarized with versus the Thoth, Aleister Crowley's Thoth. But yeah, I'm enjoying kind of familiarizing myself with Thoth. It's been something that's very much intriguing to me. I wasn't sure what to pair it with, so I decided to just use my Ethereal Orbs deck. This is by the same creator who did the Astral Soul deck, which I love. I love that deck so much. She came out with a deck that's all about the mansions of Mu. And it's really beautiful. The meanings are right there on the cards too. So you can kind of familiarize yourself with it. It doesn't come with a guidebook, at least a physical copy, but either way, you have kind of everything you need right on the card. And it's just beautiful, really. Like it's a gorgeous deck. And I am a typical Aquarius and I'm obsessed with all things celestial. So, you know, there's that. So yeah, that's the decks that I worked with. And I wish I had more to say on November, but like I said, it was a pretty challenging month and I just didn't do a whole lot. So hopefully I can keep up with these really fun favorites videos. I actually really enjoy this stuff. These are fun videos to make. I will have hopefully more to share for December, but look for that next month. My absolute highlight of November was adopting our two kittens. Arwen, who you saw, and her brother Medivh. We adopted them through a nonprofit organization here locally in Minneapolis, and my husband and I were really, really grateful to be able to support that cause. It's just something that's been really near and dear to us. It's something we've always wanted to do. And after losing Luna, we just felt that it was time to do something like that. And Prue is doing well. She is just, her age is even more apparent since having little kittens around, but she is hanging in there. I can tell she misses her sister though, and it's been kind of rough to watch her go through that. But our kittens have kind of brought joy to all of us in our house through our tough times here and being able to give them a good home. So that was my November. That's all I got for you guys today, and yeah, thank you for watching. As always, blessed be.